Our story begins under the blazing sun in a barren desert. We see a group of people being taken out by a single person. Just one person was finishing off everyone he saw, taking them down one after another without any mercy. One of those people says, "Hey, you savage, what are you doing?" And another one says, "He's tired now, attack him and kill him right away." But at that moment, the guy talks to himself and says, "I feel like my heart is about to explode every time I take a hot breath. I feel like a knife is scraping my throat. I've reached a point where I can't even tell what's falling from my head. Is it drops of blood or sweat? All my senses are telling me this isn't just some graphics." And then a system notification pops up saying he just acquired a hidden trait, the Bloodthirsty Ruler's Heart, which has been activated, and another hidden trait, Master of Weapons, which has also been activated, and yet another hidden trait, which is Innocent Hands, and it's been activated, and so on. Man, that's a ton of traits. Our hero's going all out, more and more. He tells them, "Come on, all of you attack me at once, you bastards. I won't let a single one of you live." And our hero shouts at the top of his lungs, "This is reality." And so you can understand, my friend, what's happening and what this guy is doing out here in the desert. And why is all this happening to him? He can't believe if this is real, or just a dream, or maybe even a game. So this takes us back to the beginning of the story. Our story starts with a boy just like any of us, spending his time playing video games, hanging out with his PC in his room, totally chilling out. He gets a notification on his computer that the game is over, so he says, "Oh, this game is really lame. Bok Hamyoung or Bok the Wise. That's the name my family gave me, so I could live wisely." But honestly, I was spending my days completely lacking in wisdom. This was just a regular workday, not a holiday or anything. That's why I was just sitting at home. And while everyone else was working hard, I was just sitting around like you see now. I'm the one who quit my job at the company a few months ago, and now I'm living my life as a gaming addict, holed up in my room. He thinks to himself, this must be the 5th year, because I've been doing all this and playing the same game even before I quit my job. My life is truly legendary. And that's just because I've been clinging to this game and nothing else all these years. The game, my friend, is called Benjana. A login notification pops up for the game. And we learn that Benjana is the game that gained fleeting popularity 5 years ago. Back then, our protagonist saw a screen saying that the game's creator would grant a single wish to anyone who finished the game. And it was the controversial promotional phrase the developer used at the game's launch that got talented players excited and made them want to challenge the game. But then it ended up disappointing them. And to this day, 5 years later, the game has never been completed. The number of players gradually dwindled until Shum became a game where the number of concurrent players rarely exceeded 1, or 0 if I wasn't online myself. When it was released, our protagonist faced a lot of ridicule and was called crazy. And that was because of the game's extreme difficulty and the many negative comments about it. The bosses in Shogun, you can't tell if they were designed for you to beat the game or just to make sure you die. And there are evil characters you thought were your allies, but they suddenly betray you. Plus, there are unique NPCs who show up just to kill you after a bounty is put on your head. And just so you know, it's impossible for players to ever defeat the strongest unique NPCs in the game world. So if you ever spot one, you might as well consider your character completely deleted. And the most infuriating thing about this game is that if your character dies, everything is instantly wiped out. So, to sum it up, it's a crazy game, because you have to start the game all over again from the very beginning when you die. Is that the reason for its insane difficulty? Its explosive popularity vanished in an instant. I honestly don't know if there's any way I could ever finish it or not. My character was using 8 out of 15 elements, and of course some really unique elements were revealed in Benjana. I literally wasted my 5 years for nothing. But our protagonist is shocked when, after his character was deleted as a death penalty, he actually received 1.6 million soul points. And we find out that you can get these soul points when your character dies. So our protagonist thinks to himself, wait, 1.6 million soul points? Of course, unique elements grant massive points. I must have only collected 80,000 during the whole time I deleted hundreds of characters before this. But then a notification pops up saying there's a soul point system in Benjana. Basically, the value of the dead character is converted into points, which you can then invest in whatever talent you want to create in your character. And it tells us that our character invested 10,000 soul points in the sword art talent. In the past, he earned the title of sword art master and died. The maximum investment in a talent is 10,000 soul points. For me to get 1.6 million of them, looks like I really can invest them in anything. If I were to follow the traditional path, I'd invest them in the stable magic talent. But then he gets the idea to let it distribute them randomly. And he says, I don't really need to think about where to put them and all that. Let's just use the random method and be done with it, since I'm not going to finish the game anyway. And he just takes the whole thing as a joke. And he says, I'm actually going to enjoy it for the first time, finally. I'm going to put my points anywhere, just stupidly, wherever. And he remembers, my friend, back in the past when he had, a girlfriend and all that. And she used to say to him, I'm sorry, Ob. He says to her, what are you saying? So she told him, you're a good person, but I can't keep dating someone with no future. I'm at the age now where I have to think about marriage. Our protagonist is surprised and upset, and she tells him, my friends. All my friends now have partners who have good positions or work at big, well-known companies. But you, and then she just gets up and leaves. She tells him, let's end this relationship here. I'll go first. I wish you a happy life. And at that moment, she left him and walked away. And our protagonist says, 3 months ago, my girlfriend, whom I had promised for 5 years, left me in a harsh way. After my girlfriend left, I quit my job, which had no future, in a fit of anger, and ended up stuck in this room. As you can see, I became completely addicted to gaming. At this point, he just didn't care. Of course, my friend, he just threw all his points around randomly. He says, I was weak enough. I'll just press and be done with it. And sure enough, my friend, he just puts his points in, distributing them randomly. Then he gets a notification that the hidden item has been activated. So he says, what hidden item are you talking about? He gets another notification. Congratulations, you have collected all the scattered points and have been invited to Penginia. Our protagonist is shocked, and he asks, has this message ever appeared in Penginia before? I've never seen it. But my friend, he starts to feel something strange. The area around him begins to glow blue. He finds himself in a strange place. There's a terrifying entity speaking to him. It says to him, you damned celestial, I will burn every world you've created. Our protagonist is shocked and starts screaming. He says, what is this voice in my head? This voice, it's so painful. But at that moment, he collapses to the ground unconscious. And, my friend, there's a notification on the screen after he passes out. And what's written is, you who are in the vortex of destruction, the majesty of light darker than darkness itself. I wish you happiness in Benjinia. So our protagonist wakes up, my friend. Where does he find himself now? He finds himself in the desert we were just in a while ago. Yes, my friend. Now, I've brought you to the beginning of the events. He says, what the heck is this? And where am I? But at that moment, one of those people I told you about was sitting there beating him up. He says to him, you worthless servant, you good for nothing. Can't you just get up already or what? He hits our hero, but how? And he's a bit annoyed. Then that man talks to him and says, if you fall one more time, I'll throw you as food to the Hydra Dragon. Our hero is surprised and thinks to himself, the Hydra Dragon? Wait a second. So let's take a look, my friend. And we see that there are a lot of other fools being dragged along just like him, being forced to walk. He says, hold on a second. What kind of situation is this? Seriously? And what am I even doing here? But my friend, he gets hit again to make him get up and move. And that guy tells him, come on, man, get up and move already. What's wrong with you? Why are you so slow? Get up right now if you don't want to die. So our hero actually gets up and walks with the herd. He thinks to himself, it must be the Hydra Dragon monster I know from Pingni. Even the scene looks kind of familiar to me. And then he says the words to open the status window. But our hero is shocked because he was just saying it for fun. But the thing actually appeared in front of him, the window. What's going on? Is this really happening to me? And what we find, my friend, is that his stats, literally his stats, are just terrible. He says, when I entered Pangina, what's happening to me? He's talking to himself, saying, this is real. The status window appeared when I called for it. And what's this? All my stats are at 12? Is that even possible? Considering that stats are supposed to be given in a range from 1 to 10, depending on talent, but he notices that he has 10s and 12s. And for him, in his previous life, in terms of his strength in the game, that was considered really weak. But for the start of the game, that's actually a lot of power. And he also finds, my friend, that he has 13 hidden traits, which is pretty good too. The lead shouts, what is this? He asks because we notice everyone else is shocked too. Odd soldiers approach, riding those monsters. Our protagonist is surprised and so is everyone else. People are saying that this is the army of the Desert Queen. They broke the non-aggression pact and attacked. Prepare for battle. All of you, pay very close attention. If you lose focus for even a moment, you'll all be killed. So our protagonist says, wait a second, the Snake Princess, I definitely know her well. And then a notification pops up from the system saying that the main quest has been created. So our protagonist thinks to himself, the main quest. And it tells him that survival and rewards are granted differently depending on the content. And if you fail, both bodies die, in the game and in reality. So our protagonist thinks to himself, survival? How's that even possible? He's completely shocked and terrified, my friends. Arrows are flying all around him everywhere. The shock is written all over our hero's face, my friend. I don't even need to tell you that. A system notification pops up saying that a hidden trait has been activated, the Bloody Ruler's Heart. And what we learn, my friend, is that the Bloody Ruler's Heart is a synchronized trait that appears when you fully invest all your physical talents. It also makes you not get tired easily or be surprised by most things. Basically, it means you'll keep your cool no matter what. He says, I have to accept the situation quickly because if I stay like this and don't move, I'll die here. I have to move if I want to survive. And at that moment, my friend, someone attacks him and almost finishes him off. But our hero grabs one of the swords lying on the ground, and he's able to wield it with complete ease. And he manages to counter the guy's attack and take him out completely. Just look at how powerful our hero is, my friend, in every sense of the word. Check out how epic this is, buddy. Just look at that. And then notifications from the system pop up showing that our hero figured out how to use this sword because he has a hidden trait called Weapon Master, which just got activated. And sure enough, my friend, once again, our hero dodges their attacks, takes them down, and even disarms them. He thinks to himself, even if this is the first time I've ever used this weapon and all that, so I'm able to use it like an expert or even a pro, and my skill level is better than anyone else's. And that's not even the best part. I can also see the path of my enemy's sword and predict the moves they're going to make. That lets me dodge them easily, take them out, and spot their weak points. And with all this chaos going on, those guys are terrified. They're saying, he's a monster. I used to think the whole expedition was helpless in battle because they were injured. And then, my friend, a notification pops up from the system about the background trait. Thanks to the effect of skilled hands, our hero's weapon mastery improves even faster. He gets another notification that his sword mastery has now reached level 6, and his spear mastery has also reached level 6. Our hero thinks to himself that the highest mastery level is 10. I'm already at level 6. Reaching mastery level 6 means I should now be able to wield it like a renowned knight. Is this the power of the hidden trait? Even the fact that I've lasted this long at this level wouldn't have been possible without the hidden trait. But even this miracle won't let me hold out forever. There are at least 500 soldiers gathered here. And you're telling me I have to take on all of them? Man, this is a seriously tough mission. And on the other side, my dear, is the side of the Desert Queen. But in the past, before all this happened, we see, of course, our friend here bowing to the Desert Queen. And the Desert Queen tells her that the expedition to the demon world has failed. Wait, is that what you're saying? Do you even realize what you're saying, Princess of Serpents? She responds and tells her that it's true. So here, the Desert Queen says, if it's revealed that our city, the Desert City, didn't take part in the expedition, then the Central Continent will pin all the blame on us for this failure. We have to stop this with everything we've got. Princess of Serpents, you must head to the Cowsman Desert immediately and eliminate all the stragglers from the expedition. We need to erase any evidence that could prove that Vismer sent any troops. And anything that could link us to this failure, we want to get rid of it. So basically, my friend, they're going to wipe out their own men, the very ones they sent in the first place. That's why you'll find them all acting the same, even though they were just fighting each other a moment ago. Anyway, the queen goes on and says, if you accept without any resistance this time, I promise you, I'll lift the curse from you completely. And here, my friend, we notice that as soon as she mentioned the word curse, the Snake Queen girl immediately snapped to attention and focused more, saying right away, understood, no argument. But the queen tells her, remember this, there's no room for failure. And indeed, my friend, the Snake Queen starts to move. And now, going back to the present moment, when she was standing in front of her soldiers, she asks them, did you finish them all? One of them hesitates and says to her, there's still one slave holding out. She looks surprised and says to him, just one slave? And we take a look, and we see that, in fact, our hero has defeated almost all the soldiers. Everyone is lying on the ground, and he's standing among them, silent and unshaken. Breathing heavily, Amal gets a notification from the system that his level has increased to level 2, and his health and mana have been fully restored, and all his exhaustion has completely disappeared. Basically, he's back, fully recharged, ready to finish off the rest. Those guys start moving in to try and take him out. But then the Serpent Queen steps in and tells them to clear the way. So our hero thinks to himself, she's here. And finally, Isabella, who's level 8, can't leave the area because of the status ailment caused by the Desert Queen's curse. Our hero can't understand her stats because his level is way too low, and his understanding of this character is also too low to know what her abilities are. And speaking of skills, our hero thinks to himself, At level 8, there's no way I can beat her no matter how many times I try. Since, the highest level in Benjina is 10, the standard that sets the strong apart is level 7. If your level is 7 or above, my friend, you're the cream of the crop. Starting from level 7, that's when the real difference starts to show, and you can barely overcome the gap between levels. Level 8 means they can pretty much be considered the strongest around. Simply put, they're on the same level as the bosses of really famous organizations. And our hero says that facing her like this would be a total disaster in practice. But my friend, if you focus on her situation, you'll see she can't leave this desert because of her condition, the curse and all that. So right away, an idea pops into our hero's head and he says, yeah, I remember now. And then, my friend, the snake princess comes down to him and says, your offer was actually pretty interesting, but you have to die here and that's just how it is. Of course, by offer and all that, she means his fighting with the others and so on. Not that he was making her some kind of proposal or anything. Just so you know, my friend, you're a bit of a rascal. Anyway, don't zone out on me. Stay with me here. So our hero is surprised by her and thinks to himself, the reason I started playing Benjina in the first place? And this game was actually criticized for its brutality and extreme difficulty. But even in the toughest games, I always find a way to get through, no matter how hard it is. Yeah, I was one of the twisted ones, among the twisted. And if my guess is right, and suddenly my friend, that girl attacks him out of nowhere. But our hero just stands there in front of her, not moving, and tells her, you don't want to lift the queen's curse from yourself. And right then, my friend, the girl is completely shocked and stops her charge at the very last moment. She was just about to kill him, but these people have incredible control over their strength. She looks at him in surprise, clearly moved, and says to him, who are you? Tell me. He tells her, I read the stars and I lead people to the stars. I am the bearer of the stars. I can help you lift the queen's curse, so you can leave this desert. She looks at him in surprise, and our hero thinks to himself that it seems like his plan actually worked. And we find out, my friend, that the Star Bearer and this class of non-playable characters are needed by the player to surpass the maximum level. This class only exists for non-playable characters, so of course, I'm not a real Star Bearer. But to remove the Queen's Curse status effect, she needs the blessing of the stars from a Star Bearer. And since Isabella wants to escape the curse, she has no choice but to listen to me. And we can really see that our hero's words are affecting her, making her feel kinda insecure. And he says the reason I'm sure she wants to escape the curse is actually very simple. Isabella von Desia is a character I created myself. Isabella was a miserable character. I had to neglect her because I chose the wrong starting point. From the player's perspective, the King's Curse is a tool to keep players within the boundaries of the starting map during the early part of the game. But the player's character is made to witness the end of this game. They were originally supposed to travel around the world to witness the ending. But I left a being like that in this place and didn't take it with me. And she remained trapped here because of the Queen's Curse. So basically, my dear, our hero was supposed to take her along while playing this game until he finished it, and she would be his helper or something like that. Or see what's happening ahead. But because of the Queen's Curse, he left her here and she stayed and he didn't free her from this place. Anyway, she asks him, what's your name? So he tells her, my name is Rand Love, and a system notification pops up saying your character's name has been set. And now, my dear, our hero is Rand Love. Anyway, our hero starts to get a bit confused, but we notice that she really convinced him. She left her and walked away. She tells him, I'll postpone killing you for a while. But if you're lying to me, I'll finish you off. And I won't make your death easy at all. Then she tells her men to escort him and keep an eye on him, because he's an honored guest. And they have to treat him with the utmost care. And then, my friend, a notification pops up from the system saying that the main mission number 1, survival, has been completed. The results are now being settled. A new record. A perfect result. Almost miraculous. Beginner's luck. The constellation of luck is smiling on you. And of course, this whole asteroid thing, I don't think you guys don't get it. Basically, higher beings grant heroes or characters in the game their power, or a part of it. Like when they see someone as special or something like that, so they can be their representatives on Earth. Anyway, a notification pops. Another notification says his reward has been upgraded. The battle planet says, you were in an easy one, kid, and his reward gets upgraded again. He gets the broken piece of the golden Shafa letter. He also gets the soul of the multi-headed dragon and Miquella's sword. And of course, it's not Miquella's sword, or the Miquella I'm talking about. It's not the same Miquella that's around and all that. This is something completely different. Anyway, he thinks to himself, somehow I made it. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He gets a notification from the star system for 220 points, and his result will be added to the Hall of Fame for main missions. So right now, our hero is basically one of the top people, my friend. Anyway, let's move on to the palace where our hero is staying. And honestly, it's a super luxurious palace, no joke. Our hero is just chilling in his bathtub, living the good life, and he's looking over the stats, trying to figure some things out. And we find out that the multi-headed dragon spirit is famous for only being defeated once since the game was released. And there's an essential element at the start of the game, which is the Sword of Michele. He says, I never thought I'd get them both at the same time, but it's actually the broken piece from these golden ruins. And from the system, we learn that the broken piece of the golden rune allows synchronization between reality and the world of Benjinia. You can activate or deactivate it whenever you want, and you have 24 hours left to use it in the golden rune shot. So our hero says, we stop the synchronization between reality and Genia. So now I can go back to the real world. I can come here. I don't get it. But at that moment, his thoughts are interrupted by a group of waitresses or maids, whatever you want to call them. They come in and ask him if he wants their help with the shower and all that. And he tells them, guys, if you want, my leg is right here. And he says to himself, wait a minute, are you telling me these are Isabella's maids? If I show any reaction toward them, I'll make her suspicious of me. Because the Starbearer doesn't react to any worldly desires. I have to keep my composure. He keeps telling himself, stay calm and all that. But suddenly, the status window pops up in front of them. And he's like, what's this? And what we noticed here are some stats and stuff. He says, wait, the boundary between reality and Binji, what is this? And they just leave him like that, dear, when we find a strange alert, and one of them, looking surprised, says to him, Starbearer, there's something. But our protagonist says to himself, no way, grassy and mint chocolate? I've played the game with both of them before. Of course, don't be surprised by these names. They're just two totally normal people. If you've seen Black-Sickle with me, these kinds of names shouldn't sound strange to you. I mean, for example, in Black-Sickle, we had someone called Abu Nana, Father of Mint. So I think these are pretty normal names in comparison. Anyway, our protagonist says, I used to wonder if they quit the game because they disappeared at some point. But were they summoned to this world like me all along? And on top of that, a notification pops up from the system saying, since you've achieved a survival ranking, the logout feature has now been unlocked for you. Please be careful because your character will be vulnerable to danger while you're logging out. Our protagonist says, the logout feature. Wait, does that mean I can leave here, Al? I can finally get out of this damn game. Then he tells all the waitresses to leave the room. And he told them, stop right now. I need to spend some time alone. These are the rituals for the Starbearer. He has to perform them right now. So they actually leave, and as they're walking out, he tells them to let the princess know that he'll come see her after he finishes his rituals. And that's exactly what our protagonist says. I was really scared that I'd be stuck in this place forever. But now I have to leave this stupid game because I'm exhausted. So he goes ahead and hits the exit button. And sure enough, a notification pops up saying he's logging out of the game now. Keep your character in a safe place. And here's a tip. If your character dies, you die in real life too. And sure enough, he gets a message saying logout is complete. Of course, my friend, you probably didn't get that part, but let me explain. If the protagonist goes back to the real world, his character will stay in the other world. And if his character stays in the other world, it'll remain there but unconscious. And if it stays there unconscious, anyone could hurt it. Or it's at risk from anyone, no matter who they are. And the same thing we were talking about in the other world also applies to the real world, my friend. So basically, our hero has to protect himself in both places. It's got the same context as the Black Sickle. But the difference is, when the Black Sickle returned to the real world, his character would never remain in that world at all. But the opposite was true for the real world. His character would stay there, so he had to protect it. That's why we saw him go and rent an apartment in the safest place in the real world. So it's pretty much the same idea as the Black Sickle. And honestly, if you don't know about the Black Sickle, you're really missing out. I seriously recommend you check it out right now. Anyway, my friend, let's get back to the current world when our hero comes back and all that. And we're shocked to find that the current world isn't at all like how our hero left it. There's destruction everywhere, monsters are wiping out humans and devouring them, and blaring danger alarms fill all the streets. Danger alerts are coming in on the phone from every news outlet. Our hero says, what is this? He looks out the window and sees that there's actually a monster attacking people. Our hero gets startled and rushes back inside. He says, why are there monsters from Bungie here in the real world? What's going on? He checks his pocket, my friend, and finds the piece he took, the piece from the dragon scales. We're continuing after the incredible events that happened in the last episode. We found out that our hero now has special abilities and isn't just any ordinary beginner. And that's after he entered the world of the game he was playing. And now he's back again to the real world after pressing the exit button. He doesn't really know what's going on, does he? This is my room. Did I play the game for so long that I fell asleep like this, or what? I don't get it. Was I really in that other world? The game's world? Was all of that real or just a dream? No way. No way that's possible. There's no way this is real. This isn't a web novel. None of the game makes sense in real life. It was a dream, but honestly, a really disgusting one. But my friend, he doesn't even get to finish his sentence before he looks ahead and is shocked by what he sees. The piece he took, of course, the dragon letter piece and the reward he got, he says, "What is this? Was this always in my realm? No way, guys. Don't tell me what I was in was actually real." So what about the game? What happened to the game? My friend opens the game page and finds that the page is completely gone. He thinks to himself, it's disappeared. The game's main page has vanished. And then it happens. But at that moment, he hears people screaming outside. And they're shouting, "There's a monster! Help us! Save us!" And sure enough, my friend sees this monster attacking people and taking them out. It had already taken out a lot of people. Even the police couldn't do anything because bullets didn't affect it. It was literally a state of emergency in every sense of the word. Even the cop says so. Send us back up immediately. All the alarm systems are warning people not to leave their homes. Our hero says, "What is this? Why? Why have monsters from Bangna appeared here in the real world? What's happening at this moment, Frank?" He got scared and stepped back. And he says to himself, "Don't tell me. Have the boundaries between reality and Gina been shattered?" And at that moment, my friend, our hero is completely shocked. He says, "What am I supposed to do now?" He glances over at that golden piece he got. He thinks to himself, if the monsters from the game are roaming freely in the real world, maybe it's also possible to use the items obtained in the game. That could work here. So my friend, he goes and opens up the reward screen that was in front of him, and he's honestly shocked when a notification pops up in real life. It tells him, "You now have Michaela's sword and the multi-headed dragon soul." So he asks, "How can I use it in the game?" You use it just by clicking, nothing more. But in reality, how is that even possible? But as soon as our hero touches it, he gets a system notification saying that the multi-headed dragon soul lets you summon the fully leveled multi-headed dragon and control it, and you can enhance it using the Beastmaster's hidden ability. So our hero thinks to himself that it's impossible for him to face those monsters. But then, my friend, he activates the dragon soul. And sure enough, it gets activated, and there are 24 hours left until the effect ends. Anyway, let's get outside to the world that's in total chaos right now. And the monsters are chasing after people everywhere. And down there's a woman carrying something and running with it. Her daughter asks her, "Mom, where's my dad? Why didn't Dad come with us?" Her mom replies, "He'll be here soon, Enji." But at that very moment, my friend, before she can even finish her sentence, huge rocks come crashing down on them from above, shocking everyone. The girl literally witnesses a horrific scene. Her mother is completely crushed by the rocks. Then a woman comes running from afar toward the girl and asks, "Are you okay? Come on." The mother from under the rock says that she's fine. "Please, just take my daughter with you." And the girl screams for her mother saying, "Mom, come on." "But my dear, who are you calling out to?" There's no way she can get out from under that huge rock. The girl who saved her daughter says, "I'm sorry. I'll definitely protect her." But at that moment, she doesn't even get to finish her sentence before the monster attacks her from behind. She's shocked and says, "Like this, I'm gonna die." But at that very moment, my friend, our hero jumps in with legendary speed. And he completely wipes out that monster in the blink of an eye. Our hero has now activated destruction mode. He's in a totally terrifying state. Not only does he cut up the monster and finish it off, but he destroys it. Meanwhile, the shocked girl says, "I survived by a miracle. Who is he?" But at that moment, another one attacks. My friend, the monsters are coming at our hero from behind. But our hero, without even moving, uses the dragon he summoned to finish off that monster completely, leaving the girl stunned by his power. A dragon, my friend, with 9 heads. Yeah, how's that even possible? How can someone control such a terrifying creature? Our hero approaches her like that, and as he starts to move away, he tells her to stay where she is, and the girl is just shocked, my friend. But at that moment, the little girls come to their mother and try to get her out from under the rock. And at the same time, our hero's taking out the rest of the monsters there. The girl thinks to herself, "Who is this guy?" And what we find out, my friend, is that strange monsters have appeared all over the world, not just in Korea. They started killing people brutally and destroying civilizations. But these monsters didn't just appear out of nowhere for no reason, you know? But brave warriors also appeared to fight the monsters and protect civilians. They were shouting, "Don't worry, we'll definitely protect you all. A new world of monsters is coming soon." But we're here to stand against it. The world was changing at a rapid pace. And they all agreed to unite their forces. At this moment, we return to a rather strange place. We see a person sitting there saying, "Fools! They're wasting the golden scale fragments they have." As he says this, clearly reality and our world have merged. It's a piece that's actually a talisman named after the player, Massacre. That's what it's called. Anyway, he tells us that over time, our world and reality might merge into one. In the coming age of chaos, everyone is a competitor. Those who get more pieces and more power become heroes in this era. The ranking, which had remained unchanged for 2 years, has finally been updated as well. And what we know, my friend, is that first place with 220 points goes to our hero, Randall, buddy. Yeah, and of course, this first place thing isn't for all the regions, just the current one. Honestly, that's how it is. But we haven't gotten into that topic yet. But what does this part remind you of? Yeah, my friend, let me tell you the story. You're really gonna like it. Anyway, in second place, we have Gracia. Third place goes to someone who calls themselves I Love Mint Chocolate. I don't really get that name, but let's just call him Mint for this story. Anyway, moving on to fourth place. I don't know if this one came out of Minecraft or where they came from. Fifth place has 163 points. Anyway, the highest score is a ridiculous number, almost 220 points. And that is my friend. So the question is, how did this guy get here? Is he the Phantom? You know, the Phantom? He means the person known as the Ghost. And since his real name isn't known, they just call him by that nickname. He was the first person to form a party made up of non-player characters called the Demon World Party. And it was the only one that made it to the final stage of the game. But the result was an absolute disaster, no doubt about it. He is player number 1. Anyway, the guy himself says that since he's the strongest character, he'll be summoned when he dies. So he must have been summoned in Bangina at the exact moment the campaign failed. Even though the appearance and gear are reset, the talent from the previous character gets transferred to him. That's why I understand how he got such a high score. This person is Phantom, without a doubt. And now, my friend, we go back to the moment when our hero was sitting in the bathtub. He's thinking to himself that monsters have appeared in the world, and so have the summoned players. And of course, our hero has already returned to the other world. He says they've taken on the forms of their characters in Bang, and it's clear now that they've become more visible. My last character. I could have reached the end of the game with the Demon World campaign, which is the Phantom character. But the mercenaries, who are non-playable characters that were hired, held back my progress, of course, with their betrayals and the things they did. Even our fellow non-playable characters betrayed us. Regardless of the respect I had considered, their interference was always beyond expectations. But what if all these variables and everything happening were actually players who were summoned just like me? Players who don't want me to reach the end, or players who see me as their rival. People targeted me at that time. Maybe that's the case now if the boundaries between reality and us have collapsed. So I can never really hide, except by logging out to ensure my safety in both worlds. I need to get stronger. I need to move forward, and not stay in one place. Anyway, he goes to her, the Serpent Princess, and she says to him, "So, are you done talking to the stars?" He tells her, "Yeah, and I came to keep my promise to you." She says to him, "Very nice." She says, "Tell me then." So he tells her, "I have just one condition, despite all this." She asks him, "What is it?" Of course, the Serpent Princess tells her maids to leave. Anyway, he tells her, "Take me to the harem, Isabella." She reacts to him like that. She says to him, "The harem? Are you out of your mind?" But our hero thinks to himself that the second main mission is to obtain a rank, and the rank that I want. He tells her that over there. There's a star I want over there. That's what's gonna help me get you what you want. And that's what our hero's saying to himself. At that point, I'll get the rank I want from there. And yes, my friend, we see them now in a strange place. We see Isabella, who pretty much took out everyone in the place. There's blood everywhere, and her aura, of course. I mean, honestly, it's something epic. Our hero says to himself, it only took her a few minutes to wipe out all the guards. There's no ally I can rely on more than her. And what we find out is that a few hours earlier, my friend, when he called her and said, "Take me to the sanctuary, Isabella," she replied, "The sanctuary? You out of your mind?" He told her, "I'll talk to the star there." She said, "Which star?" She asked, "What are you talking about?" But he said, "You can't see it." And our hero says to himself, "I stumbled upon the 4th star by accident while I was leveling up my previous character. And maybe I'm the only player who knows its exact location." Anyway, he tells her, "In order to lift a curse from you with the blessing of the stars, I have to get that star." So he tells her, "The sanctuary isn't a place just anyone can enter. If it's discovered that I brought someone in, literally," but he cuts her off and says, "I can get you in and there's no time." That's why, think carefully, this is your last chance to leave the desert. And he says to himself, if I had failed to convince her back then, the thing rolling on the ground right now would be my head. And we go back to notice this about her as he says these words. Anyway, he tells her, "We've arrived. Come on, this is the Holy Land." And what he's standing in front of, my friend, is like a vault or something going underground. It clearly looks like some kind of place. I mean, it's really dark. Anyway, an announcement from the system says that he has now entered the hidden sanctuary of the desert. Side quest, explore the sanctuary. Rewards will be given based on the exploration rate. Warning, your level does not meet the required level, which is 8. And a warning, the area is filled with poison and demonic energy. So if your resistance to demons is low, it's absolutely not recommended to enter here. But the hidden traits are being activated. The giant's resistance to demons is now loading. And he thinks to himself, if it weren't for these hidden traits, I wouldn't have been able to enter here under normal circumstances. There's no way a level 2 beginner could even set foot in this place. So if I send Isabella ahead and just complete the side quest to explore the sanctuary, the rewards have to be really good. But the side quest isn't the main thing right now, because this is the place that, and at that moment, he gets a notification from the system. And the second main quest is to obtain the class. And you can get the class from this place. And our hero tells us that here he can get the class he came for. We see, dear viewer, that Isabella is shocked. We see her standing there. He notices that there's a strange and terrifying energy coming from ahead. So he says, looks like we took the wrong path or something. Let's go back. But our hero grabs her and says, where are you going? She tells him, that bridge in front of us looks really suspicious. I mean, it was designed that way. The downward air currents are meant to sweep away anyone who crosses without knowing. How can you not notice something this obvious? So our hero asks her, what? Are you scared? Are you afraid? At this point, the girl is shocked and gets really upset. Who's scared, huh? She says, I don't even know what fear is. I'm the snake princess's daughter, remember? He replies, you're quite a coward. I had no idea. She replies, I'm really not. Focused, our hero says, come on, get on my back. She's totally surprised. She says, are you trying to get yourself killed or what? What are you even saying? So our hero says, I don't have any kind. Get on my back quickly when the sudden appearance happens and the dead warriors are discovered. She'll get suspicious because you're not here, and the Queen's pursuit team will be assassinated behind you. So instead of wasting our time because of fear, it's better for me to just carry you and run. So she agrees and actually climbs onto his back. She tells him, if it weren't for this damn cramp in my leg, I would never have done this. Just remember that. He replies, of course, of course. The important thing is, hold on tight and let's go. And he starts moving quickly, my friend. She asks him, where are you going? This is the wrong direction. But our hero isn't listening to her. He jumps and she tells him, there's no path here, kid. You're crazy. But our hero uses the hidden shape-shifting poison that allows a person to see all the secrets invisible to human eyes. So he says, what's this? Wait, is there an invisible path here? I couldn't see it. So our hero tells her, yes, this is the real path. She thinks to herself, how? How did he know there was a path here? Even I, the deputy commander of Faisalmir, didn't know about something like this in the sanctuary filled with poison and demonic energy. He never gets tired, not even a little. And that's just to catch his breath. There are a lot of strange things happening that we just chalk up to him being a star bearer. Anyway, our hero tells her, I didn't know that the deputy commander of Faisalmir has a fear of heights. She tells him, just get on with it and walk without talking. And she thinks to herself, he's acting way too relaxed in front of me. This isn't just confidence that comes from being strong. It's like he's welcoming an old friend he hasn't seen in years. Anyway, she asks him, have we met before? She asks our hero, and he tells her, no, we've never met before in the same place. So she asks him, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by the same place? I don't get it. But our hero tells her, I've seen you before, but you've never seen me. Anyway, they arrive at the place and go inside. It was actually changing completely. You could feel like the space around them was being reshaped. Our hero sets up a barrier that covers the entire area, and that's it. The people who are able to follow the designated path can see what's waiting for them. And my memory was right, so here he is. And we look, my friend, and we find that a group of spirits started to appear out of nowhere, literally being formed from nothing. Our protagonist thinks to himself that this guardian is a golem, judging by the size of the spirit on its chest. So at the very least, it's of the highest rank at the current level. Even a scratch from it would mean instant death for it. So our protagonist asks her, has the cramp in your leg gotten any better now or what? She tells him, just let go of my leg, shut your mouth, and watch me quietly. And sure enough, my friend, the goblin charges at her to attack, but she doesn't move an inch. You might ask, what's going on here? That's exactly what we want to see. I'll tell you, no. Because in the blink of an eye, she flashes that mischievous smile and disappears right in front of us. Then she completely crushes the goblin's arm. She says this is going to be over very soon. And sure enough, one after another, she takes them out effortless. Our hero thinks to himself, I could say she's like an assassin or something. It's a ridiculous situation, even though I raised this character myself. But I'm still shocked by her abilities. Is this what it means to be at level 8? I mean, seriously, that's legendary. And anyone who sees this girl who just took them all out is pretty much stunned by what they're witnessing. He gets a notification from the system saying that now he can acquire the Golem Maker class. Do you want something like that or not? Our protagonist asks, does the system count Isabella's kills as my own? Does it recognize that she and I are one team since we both have summoner type classes that we really value? That's why the Golem Maker class is actually pretty good right now, and in terms of class rank, it's at least high tier, but this isn't the class one wants, so he says, I refuse. And our protagonist thinks to himself, because the thing that could actually grant me the class one wants is something completely different. And you can notice, my friends, that the aura around them has literally turned dark and overwhelmingly gloomy. Even Isabella's shocked. Our protagonist is also standing there waiting, and then a notification from the system appears, saying, the old king, master of this mountain who was buried by the unknown star, is enraged at the intruders. And that's exactly what we see happen, and he starts to appear. Our protagonist thinks to himself, you finally showed yourself. Come on, come to me, O great ruler who guards the stars. And then we actually see a huge snake. It's called the Old King Dramus. A notification from the system pops up for our protagonist saying, warning, the player's level is much lower than the recommended level for this sanctuary, which is level 10. So our protagonist is shocked by its aura. He thinks to himself, this is an overwhelming pressure. Is he really the guardian of the mountain sanctuary? She says to him, so, you came here. You expect me to deal with the mountain guardian, right? Our protagonist tells her, don't worry, despite his appearance, he's actually very gentle. He doesn't really attack much. But at that moment, the sanctuary guardian actually attacks him. At that point, our protagonist is shocked. Even the girl, Isabella, almost got taken out. She looks at him and says, this is the one who supposedly doesn't attack? Wow, I'm gonna die here. So our protagonist says to her, that's strange because I used to hate him, but as a friendly creature, he helped guide me on my way. So Isabella says to him, does this snake look friendly to you? Are you stupid or what? But then the snake starts to speak, and it says to him, oh, challenger of the sanctuary, defeat me and prove your worthiness. So she says to him, Isabella, I have nothing to do with this. I don't even know this guy. Just leave me alone. He replies, you defeated my guardian, and now you're denying your intentions? She looks at him, surprised. Of course, he's talking about the golems and all that, and then he gets ready to strike her again. And he tells her, if you can't prove yourself, you will never leave here alive. So the girl actually dodges the blow, but it was really close. She barely avoided it. And our hero thinks to himself, when I cleared this place before, I had no memory of defeating Dramas. Did something change? Don't tell me. And he thinks to himself, the ancient King Dramas, the mountain guardian who protects the star, a mighty ruler with a giant body. According to Dramas' story, he's an enchanted beast. His body grew and he gained wisdom from the star's spiritual energy. I cleared this place back when I was a phantom. And I did it with my character Will Hill, a level 10 character of the Transcender rank 5 stars. And when I came to the sanctuary as Will, Dramas greeted me by stabbing the star. The reason must be simple, because I was qualified. In short, if you were weaker than him, he'd attack you right then. I was overwhelmingly stronger. So what can I do now? And suddenly, he gets an idea. But really, he had to get that idea, because the girl Isabella was really struggling here. Anyway, Isabella is thinking to herself, damn it, because of the sanctuary's name. My body isn't moving properly. Was coming to this place in the first place, after hearing what the Starbearer said, just a mistake? She, my friend, was about to give up, and even Dramas was about to land the final fatal blow. But then, he hears our hero's voice saying, stop, Dramas. Dramas is surprised, looks at him and says, how do you know my real name? So here, my friend, he stands his ground and says, I am your master, Wilhelm. I've come back to you again. He looks at him in surprise and says, how can you be Wilhelm? He starts laughing hysterically, my friend. He says to him, son, are you out of your mind, son? Look at yourself. Just look at the state you're in. You're even weaker than the golem's guards. Out of all the creatures, you want to tell me that you're my master? Listen up, kid. Wilhelm was a strong man, an ideal overlord who deserved to be my master. But after that, Wilhelm failed in the Demon World campaign and lost all his stars. That means he met a complete death, even died. In other words, a lowly creature like you has no right to divide his legacy. And that's why, my dear, he's coming after you, to finish you off. But our hero doesn't move from his spot. He tells him, respect the contract between us, Dramas. Dramas freezes in place and says, you, how do you know about my contract with him? No one should be able to know something like that. So our hero thinks to himself, my contract with Drama states that whoever obtains the mountain star buried in the star will learn the true name of the mountain's guardian and become the new master of the mountain. The mountain's guardian must obey his master's orders no matter what. The contents of the contract cannot be revealed to anyone. If it is revealed, the person who breaks the contract will die from the curse of the wager. And our hero thinks to himself, I only said that because I remembered the story. Luckily, the rules of the game are still in effect, just as expected. Since this is Randolph's body, the curse doesn't affect me. Anyway, he says to him, so that's how it is, dear Dramos. Who are you, you lowly creature? He replies, if you want to know who I am, then summon the star, and it will prove it. Dramos responds, the star shows no mercy to those who are unworthy. You'll be consumed by flames the moment you find out from it. And Andros says this with complete confidence. Maybe we should see for ourselves. Are you afraid that the star will recognize me and reveal that I'm your true master, or what? He looked at him, dear Dramos, with his own eyes and truly saw his master in him. He says, that's really funny. You're just a brat, and it looks like he could finish you off with a single bite. What gives you this confidence to act with such arrogance? Alright then, come on boy, I'll take you to that star. And I don't believe you're Wilhelm in any way. But since you know the contract's poetry, killing you doesn't sit right with me. I'd rather let the star be the one to finish you off. And so, they actually start heading toward the place of that star, my friend, when Dramas actually takes them to the place of that star. And Isabella is completely shocked by what she sees. She says this is the place with the star. And Gandalf, my friend, replies to her. He tells her, yes, the thing placed on the pool specifically is the star. And it's a star, my friend. Isabella is surprised by this and says, this star is the star. He tells her, to be more precise, it's Leia's face. When Leia, the twin ruler of Benjina, died, her body was split into 32 pieces and scattered across the continents. The 32nd piece of her body is what we refer to as the stars. And it's used as a boundary catalyst for players to achieve transcendence. Anyway, my friend, our hero grabs the star like this, but suddenly there's an explosion right in front of him that completely burns him and the star. This shocks Isabella, and she says, are you okay? But then Drama says, I warned you, you'll burn the moment you get close to that star. Even though you acted with confidence, the star rejected you in the end. Burn to death, you pathetic creature. So our hero thinks to himself, seriously, is that all this jerk cares about? The important thing is, this star kills the player, but only in one scenario, when you get it by bypassing Dramus using a glitch. Regardless of how chaotic the process is, I passed through Dramus, so there really shouldn't be any problem. The real issue is whether I'll get the class 1 one or not. If you get a star without having a class, so the star gives you that class. I've never tried this myself before, but I only learned about it by accident. And then this star starts showing our hero some of the traits he has, like Master of All, Master of Weapons, Giant Resistance to Demons, and the Golden Blessing, as well as Beastmaster, Celestial Shapeshifter, Law, Grand Sage, and so on. A whole lot of things, but finally, you, the one who faces destruction, then a notification pops up from the system saying that mana has been converted into star energy, and you've acquired the main skill, Star Penetration, level 1, and the sub-skill, Blessing of the Stars, level 1, and you've gained the star effect. All your stats will increase by +5, and you'll gain even more power as the number and types of stars you possess increase. Even after transcending, the star effect will never disappear. And now, you've obtained the Star Heir class. And of course, my friend, our hero, wanted all of this just to get that class, buddy. And Isabella, the girl, is just standing there in shock, thinking to herself, did he absorb the star? Our hero looks at her and calls out, Isabella, what is it that you want to do? As soon as you give up your current thoughts. She tells him, I want to leave the desert and search for the Driss family bloodline. So our hero says to her, I'll bless you so you can leave the desert, but on one condition. She asks him, what is it? He tells her, serve me for a full year. After that, I'll grant you your freedom and help you find your family's bloodline. She struggles with the idea, thinking about the queen and how she used to exploit her and all that. She starts to tell him something, but our hero puts his hand on her shoulder and says, I'm not the queen. I will never lie to you. I've never lied in my life. At this point, Isabella is shocked, my friend, and she drops to the ground. She tells him, I will definitely serve you. He tells her, good decision, Isabella. He asks Dramus, the star's owner is your master? Dramus replies, yes, of course, adding, all right, you damned thief. Lower your head now and bow. You are full of yourself for nothing. And what we learn, my friend, is that the main mission number 2 is to obtain the rank. And the rewards for it, Farida, are currently being calculated. As a result, everyone was shocked by what happened. The total points are 230. The Hall of Fame and the Beginner's Luck have been updated. The constellation of luck is shining even brighter this time, and it's really happy with what our hero is doing. The constellation of adventure is also applauding our hero for his progress. And several constellations started to turn their attention toward our hero. Anyway, my friend on the other side with the queen is just shocked and extremely angry. She says Isabella entered the sanctuary with the slave she captured. Seize her immediately. So of course everyone follows that order. And supposedly they're heading toward them now to finish him off completely. Anyway, my friend on the other side, in the outside world, we see his daughter sitting with 2 young guys at a cafe or something. And one of them asks her, "Is Gandalf really one of you guys?" Another one replies to him saying, "Of course, even if we ignore the main mission at first." So achieving a rank higher than Gracia is impossible unless someone knows the game inside out. The veteran ghost player who disappeared for 5 years, Phantom, has finally shown up. This is going to cause a huge stir. And the other one asks, "Is it possible for us to contact him before the others do?" The second girl replies to him saying, "How? We've been searching for years and never found him." So the boy in the red t-shirt tells her, "That's because up until now, Phantom wasn't a real player. Now that he's become a real player, there must be a way." And the other one, wearing a blue t-shirt, speaks up. "Do we have to go try fishing or something? Since the secret auction hall was unlocked as a reward for the second main quest, it's likely that Phantom will use it, right?" The girl replies to them saying he'll need tons of items if he wants to take first place in the third main quest. Fishing. Yeah, fishing is something players can do in the secret auction hall, where players can trade items with each other. You put up a high quality item for a cheap price, for example, and then they use the twins' ability to cast a spell that lets them track the buyer's location and find out where they are. Beginner players who don't know about this often end up buying auction items for really cheap, and then they get tracked, exploited, or even killed. But he's saying this while wearing a red t-shirt. But would someone like Phantom really fall for something like that? If he really is Phantom, then he would know every spell option in the game. So the girl says, no, he could fall for it. And the one who says that, my dear, laughs hysterically and says, he failed, but not yet. He begins the great campaign. This kind of decisiveness is definitely not normal. If he sees a cheap and tempting item in the auction hall, he might buy it. And if you want to challenge him, go ahead and do it. But if he comes for you, you're as good as dead. That's the Phantom I know. Anyway, now we definitely have to meet him. Let's go meet him. And it seems like this whole group is just a bunch of psychopaths with messed up minds, my dear. And they want to recruit our hero into their gang. And that it's better for him to join them instead of another guild. And now, my dear, we move to another place. You see notifications from the system saying that the arrangements have changed. You're out of the class acquisition ranking. The Hall of Fame has been updated. Main Quest 2. Obtain the class. Ranking updated. First place, of course, is Randolph with 230 points. The second one is Gracio with 198 points. The third one calls himself Delicious Mint Chocolate, but we'll just call him Abu Nana, Mint Guy. So that person has 190 points, fourth place has 166 points, and fifth place has 160. Anyway, he gets a notification that the main quest 2 rights have been revoked for the player named Massacre, and his participation in the secret auction was cancelled. He asks about this player and says Randolph has 230 points. What kind of class gives that many points? Looks like I won't be using the secret auction hall for a while. It's not important right now. And what we see, my friend, is that he had wiped out a bunch of people in this place in a pretty terrifying way. He was luring them here, taking them out, and stealing their money too. This guy says, as long as I kill anyone in the higher ranks, I'll just climb back up anyway and return to the level 1 was at. And obviously, from his name, he calls himself the Massacre, so he's clearly a messed up psychopath. Anyway, you get the idea. Anyway, we go back to our hero, and the system notification pops up with a side quest. The exploration of the sanctuary is complete, and the exploration rate is 100%. It's an unbelievable number, even when you see it with your own eyes. You are the first to perfectly complete the desert sanctuary. Achievement unlocked, first sanctuary conquer. Anyway, we see our hero now, riding on the Dromos along with Isabella. The items he obtained are displayed, including the epic instant teleportation book. It's a magic book that instantly teleports you to a previously discovered location. The casting time is 30 seconds. You can use it once a day. Anyway, our hero thinks to himself, this is really comfortable. Riding wasn't as hard as I expected. Now I can escape from the sanctuary and finish this exploration. That way, I'll be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Of course, Isabella is surprised by what she's seeing. She keeps staring at what's happening. Anyway, a notification pops up from the system for our hero saying that his experience has accumulated and his level has increased. What does our hero say? He says to himself, level 3. Finally, but he's still slower compared to normal characters. And now, my friend, we get to see his stats. His name is Randolph. Class, Star Leader. His stats at level 3, Strength 36 plus, Defense 5. And of course, endurance is the same, agility is the same, and intelligence is the same. And star energy is the same too. The star effect increased all his stats by +5. And of course, my dear, his talents include health, physique, intelligence, senses, sword, shield, spear, axe, dagger, archery, light, darkness, fire, water, earth, wind, arts, knowledge, leadership, and observation. All these things are talents our hero has, and our hero says to himself, the more talents you have, the more experience you need. The experience I need might be 10 times the normal amount, but my stats increase more because of that, so that's why I can't really complain. Anyway, that's not important right now. The item I got as a reward. The main quest, and he's feeling happy about it. And he says that there are 2 items that are extremely rare for my current level. Of course, Isabella is kind of surprised that he's so happy and all that. Anyway, he goes on and says that one of the rewards he got is the Cloak of Shadows, and it activates its effect when you wear it, making you invisible. Basically, it's a free stealth skill. Not bad at all. But at that moment, before we find out what else he got, Dreamus is shocked by what he sees in front of him. He says that a group of the Queen's soldiers are coming toward us right now. They're intruders in the sanctuary. So our hero asks, what now? And here, dear, the Serpent Princess says, maybe it's the Queen's pursuit squad, and they're coming after us right now. Alright, we've been in the sanctuary for a little while now. He asked him, so what are you gonna do? The Queen herself won't come? But the squad will have a lot of power, even with the Mountain Guardian. I doubt we'll be able to handle all of them. So our hero puts on his cloak, the one that hides him, and says, Darmus is the Guardian, so we'll have to fight ourselves. That's how he handled it. She tells him, yeah, you're right. Then our hero says to Darmos, Darmos, we're counting on you. He leaves him like that, takes Isabella under his cloak, and walks away. Of course, the cloak makes them invisible and all that. Our hero tells him, do your thing. And sure enough, the group is shocked by the snake that appeared in front of them. They start screaming and freaking out. Isabella asks him, are you sure there's no problem with just the 2 of us leaving? He replies, didn't you say the Queen isn't coming? So he'll be fine. So don't worry, there's no way the entire pursuit squad has arrived yet. Maybe it's just the advance unit. And if we get delayed until the main force arrives and surrounds the entire harem, we won't be able to escape. Those men are catching up to us anyway. That's why it's better for us to get out quickly. She says to him, so now you're just abandoning Ramos because he's useless? I was about to leave you right now. So he tells her, the Mountain Guardian can't leave the harem anyway. That's why we're the only ones who can escape. And he thinks to himself, to get out of here, we have to use the warp gate at the edge of the desert. I lifted Isabella's curse with the blessing of the stars. So, using the warp gate won't be a problem. But the real problem is that the gate takes time to activate. He walks ahead of her like that. Isabella is shocked and says, as soon as we get past this place. He tells her, yeah, exactly. As soon as we get past this area, we'll be out of the desert. But the gate needs some time before it can be activated. So she asks him, how much time are we talking about? He tells her, about half a day, as you can see. There's really nowhere to hide in this desert. And it would be ideal if the entire pursuit squad entered the sanctuary directly. But most likely, they'll follow us. And with Dramos delaying them, by the time they realize we've left the sanctuary, we'll have a bit of time. And during that time, I need to contact the star. He thinks to himself that this place is important. But I need to check what's actually happening first. That's why I can't stay in this world forever. And he asks her, can I trust you? Isabella looks at him like that, pulls out her weapon, and says, I'll protect you. And she actually stands in front of him like that. And our protagonist returns to the real world. A notification from the system appears saying that logout is in progress. Please make sure your character is in a safe place. And a tip, be careful when buying from the secret auction house. Your logout is now complete. And indeed, our protagonist is back in the real world again. And he says to himself, I'm still not used to this. The feeling when I return from Gandalf's body to my real body. This whole thing is really strange. He opens his phone and says, well, since there weren't any news alerts or disaster warnings, it seems that the monsters still haven't appeared yet. He thinks to himself that reality and the game are merging little by little, and that's for sure. But there's still a lot I don't know. And of course, my friend, things like the fact that there will probably be more monsters showing up soon, and the players who are actually in the real world also make you worry. He says, I'm gonna need to return to reality regularly to gather information. Then he's surprised, my friend, when he finds a message sent to him saying, hey hun, how are you doing? So our hero wonders and says, why is Suyan messaging me? And sure enough, my friend, we go to the scene and find this girl, Soo-yeon, who's supposed to be his fiance, talking to some guy, saying, you flirt with me and tell me you're rich and all that, but now you're acting stingy. Man, you're just pathetic. He replies to her saying, let's just meet face to face and talk. She says to him, and what reason do we have to meet? I don't have anything to say. I met my friend today, so don't call me. She hangs up on him and says, that annoying idiot. And she just sits there, waiting for someone. She thinks to herself, even though Hyun was kind of pitiful, but at least he used to listen to me. I should have put up with him a little more. No, if he just had a little bit of money, I wouldn't have broken up with him in the first place. Anyway, our main character comes up and says to her, Soo-yeon. She says to him, hi, hun. Come on, you got here really early. I thought I'd be sitting here waiting and all that. So he asks her, why did you call me and want me to come so quickly and everything? She replies, let's just take our time talking. Do you have any plans later? Just come sit down, let's talk. She says to him, maybe because it's been a long time since we last met, but you've really changed a lot. You look fitter, I think. So he says to her, just tell me, what do you want from me? Why'd you call me here now? Because I really have to leave right away. She thinks to herself, he's acting so proud, totally unlike his usual self. And she goes on to say, I believe that some things never change. You always used to come right away whenever I called you, even up to today. And that was the thing I always loved about you after we broke up. I realized how good you were, and I kept thinking about you and regretted it so much. So tell me, how have you been? He never missed me. He never wanted us to get back together. As long as he stays completely silent like that. And he's thinking to himself, should I order a drink or what? He's actually lost in another world. And he's just staring at the menu on the table. So the girl says to him, are you even listening to me? But he's thinking to himself, she called me all the way here and didn't even get me a drink. So he tells her, if you're done talking now, I'm gonna leave because I don't have time for this nonsense. She says, what? Wait, listen to me. You didn't hear me. I just said now that I missed you and all that. Is it because of what I said when we broke up back then? He tells her, we're done, Soo-yeon. Does your new boyfriend know you're meeting me right now? If you're gonna flirt with more than one guy, you should have deleted your photos from social media too, not just your profile picture. So she gets shocked and he leaves her, saying, we're done, and tells her, I'm leaving. She says to him, wait, just listen to me. But he thinks to himself, if this had happened in the past, I would have been stunned and wouldn't have known what to say. But now I'm strangely calm. Maybe it's because of the skill I have now. Don't tell me that gland growth is affecting me in real life too. And at that moment, my friend, we see someone screaming and shouting, damn it! I was being nice to you for a bit and you keep saying that I'm kicking out. What are you saying, woman? She tells him, that's why I told you to stop. Look at what you're doing. But he's all worked up at her, grabbing her by the hair, my friend, and she told him, you pervert, let me go. And he was just about to hit her, my friend, right there, with no one to stop him. He tells her, all of you look at me with contempt until the very end. I'm gonna kill all of you. But at that moment, my friend, our hero, steps in, grabs him, and blocks that blow. And the girl, literally shocked, says to him, you, and our hero just tells him, that's enough, man. He stops his punch right there, my friend. The guy is stunned and asks him, who are you? Who are you, and how did you stop me? What do you want with me? But our hero squeezes his hand a bit tighter. The guy starts freaking out and says, wait, my hand's gonna break, let me go. But our hero thinks to himself, even though I haven't used the golden rules Shizo yet, but I feel like I could break his wrist right now with no effort at all. My body hadn't actually changed in reality. Anyway, he throws the guy far away and asks her, are you okay? She says, yes, you saved my life. Thank you. I really don't know how to thank you. And our hero walks her home and says, where have I seen you before, miss? She says, what? Is there a problem? He thinks, she looks familiar. She's the girl who saved that child. This happens early on, right at the start of the story. She asks him, did you have something you wanted to say or something? So he tells her, no, you just look like someone I know, that's all. But at that moment, that guy attacks him again and says, you arrogant jerk, you're dead. He was just about to hit him. But my friend, at that moment, our hero, with just one move of his hand, manages to dodge the blow. And then, my friend, he grabs him by the face and slams him straight to the ground. The girl is shocked by our hero's strength, but for our hero, my friend, that was literally the easiest thing for him. Anyway, the police arrive and take the guy away. They tell the heroine, we're gonna need you to come with us too. So he says to him, why me? What did I do? But then the girl steps in and says, wait a minute, this man only intervened to help me, nothing more. I'm the one who reported the chase. But the officer tells her, except for the assault that happened? So you both need to come with us for now. She says to them, what assault? The other guy was carrying a knife. Do you mean we were just supposed to stand by and watch? Nothing more? And our hero says, I can't stand wasting any more time like this. The girl gets upset by what was said. The cop says, we have no other choice. These are standard routines. The girl says, if I witness this and get stuck, it's just not fair. Will you take responsibility? He asks her, what do you mean by that? She tells him, I'm Kim Hana, a reporter at CK Station. Stop right there. You're an innocent man. Talk to the victim instead of doing this. Or do I need to file an official report about this incident right now and broadcast all of it on the news? Then one of the CK police officers steps in. That's actually a major station, and now things have gotten really complicated. After that, they leave them and walk away. Of course, when everyone hears this, they're like, what is going on? Isn't that the big channel? And isn't that the girl from YouTube who saved the child from the monster? I think she was on TV. Kim Hana, even the name matches her exactly. That's her. Anyway, the officer says, this reporter will come with us personally. Then she turns to our hero and says, thank you so much for what you did today. Our hero replies, there's no need to thank me. Then she hands him her business cards like that. And she says to him, here you go, this is my work card. I work as a reporter specializing in the affairs of the Emperor Warriors. Our hero says, Dimension Warriors. She tells him, as you know, after the dimensional invasion, the day the monsters attacked Earth and all that, the unidentified people who appeared and defeated the monsters are called Dimension Warriors. Do you have any interest in social issues? The hero thinks to himself, Dimension Warriors. Is that what they call the players? It's really surprising that almost no one ever mentions the other world directly. They believe it's an attack from another dimension, which actually makes more sense than a game turning into reality. Anyway, she says to him, if you don't mind, could I get your card as well? But at that moment, the hero's ex-girlfriend shows up and says to him, oh dear, are you okay? How are you? Are you alright with this lousy job? But the other girl sneaks in and asks him, is she your girlfriend? But our hero acts like that. He moves away and tells her, no, it's not like that at all, and I don't have any business card. The girl acts like that and asks him, so can you give me your number? So he tells her, of course, yes, give me my phone. And of course, at this point, the girl starts seeing her worst nightmares come true right before her eyes. Her ex-boyfriend is now casually talking to another girl. Anyway, the new girl saves his number and tells him, Young is a really nice name. Let's have coffee tomorrow if you have time. Or a meal would be great too. My treat. He tells her, of course, it would be my pleasure. Something like that. She says, great then. See you tomorrow. And of course, the other girl is furious and says, how could this happen? How could you do this to me, Gate? Anyway, she leaves Kim C and walks away, grabs her phone and calls someone saying, hello. The person on the other end answers, hello, your highness, the supreme ruler of our station, Kim 1. Are you having a really great weekend? She replies and says, my name is Kim Hana. Don't call me your highness or any of those weird things you keep saying to me. The other woman responds, but the president left you a task while he's away on a business trip. She's surprised and asks, a task? She says, yes, the manager said you have to get an interview related to Gracia. So Kim replies, Gracia? Do you mean the one who's now being treated like a hero who saved America and all that? Why would you give me someone like that, or someone that important? She replies, I have no idea. But apparently Gracia himself said he wants to meet you, and it looks like he's coming to Korea in person. We pick up with Isabella, who is fiercely protecting our hero. She was so confident and didn't let anyone touch him. She took down anyone who got close to him in the blink of an eye. Someone spoke to her and said, oh, Princess of Snakes. The queen wants you to come back. Hand over the servant behind you and return obediently. She said she would overlook everything that happened. But at that moment, one of them shouted, you fools, kill her right now. Kill this traitor. What are you waiting for? And at that moment, they all attacked her together, my friend. And that was the end. But then a bright light started to appear out of nowhere. System notifications said that teleportation had been activated. Teleportation from the starting point is free. So everyone is shocked and says there's no time, we have to finish her off. But then our hero appears behind her and says, you endured really well, Isabella. Now it's time for us to go. She replies, the blessing of the stars is over. He answers her, yes. And he tells her, since you kept your promise to protect me, I have to keep my promise to you. And then my friend, he uses the Tiger Claw skill, which gives him 41 seconds to aim at whatever he wants. He actually uses it to target all in the group behind him and takes them all out in the blink of an eye. And then, my friend, they go through the gate. Isabella, still in shock, says to Hannah, is this the power of the Star Corps? So our hero tells her, Isabella, if you want to turn back now and leave, I won't stop you. But she replies, no, I'm coming with you. She smiles, and it's clear now, my friend, that she completely trusts our hero. Then a notification pops up from the system for our hero saying that Isabella's binding curse has been lifted thanks to the blessing of the stars. There are 12 cities available for teleportation from the Kozamon Desert, and the central village, Arcana, has been selected. Teleportation is now being initiated, and as we can see, my friend, when they actually arrived, the system greeted them, saying, welcome to the Golden City. Arcana, just a tip, Arcana is the city of excessive materialism. We advise you not to enter unless you possess a fortune in gold equal to that of an emperor, We can clearly see that everyone here is just living their lives. Traders and people, just look, they've all got money. They've got money. Isabella says that the city is stunning, and unbelievably so. Our hero replies to her, saying, "This is the Golden City, where gold solves everything. We need to gather the gold necessary for daily life immediately." So she asks him, "You mean, like, what exactly?" She looks at him like that and gives him this smile. And he tells her, "If it's about gold, then don't worry. I brought 300 gold coins with me for you." Our hero says to her, "Really?" Then he tells her, "That's just enough for food and a place to sleep for one night, nothing more. So don't get too full yourself." She tells him, "That's impossible. How could that possibly cost 300 gold coins in the desert? With that, I could have bought 10 slaves. That's 10 times the ransom for the Star Center." He tells her, "Our hero, prices here are different compared to the desert back in the day." So she asks him, "Okay, what should we do now?" He asks her, "What are you so worried about? Money is scattered everywhere over there." She says to him, "Scattered? What do you mean by that?" And then, my dear, he shows her and points to one of the taverns. She looks at him in surprise and moves a little closer. "What do you mean by that?" But our hero tells her, "Don't worry, I'm kinda lucky." And we find out that one of our hero's hidden traits is that his golden blessing activates. And my dear, we learn at the Golden City, Arkan, which is known as the City of Pleasures in Begonia, where each major city is considered a kingdom in its own right. So this place, the City of Pleasures, has only one law. Only money decides everything. The place where all the city's wealth gathers in the City of Pleasures is the Hitson Tavern. That's exactly where our hero is heading now. And there, he actually sees someone. And that person says to him, "Excuse me, sir, no one without a deposit of 10,000 gold coins is allowed to enter." Of course, our hero and Isabella are the ones in question, and they've changed their clothes and all to blend in and fit the vibe of this place. And honestly, the outfits here are legendary, guys. Anyway, Isabella says, 10 what? 10,000 gold coins. What do you even say, Emma? Then she turns to our hero and whispers to him. She tells him, "You never told me about the deposit. I only have 100 gold coins left." And that's after we took our shower and bought the clothes we're wearing now. So he tells her, the amount was never enough anyway, and we needed the clothes we're wearing now. But then the man, or the gate guard, continues and says, "If you don't have the deposit, then please leave now." And the people around them are annoyed and say, "If you don't have money, move along. Can't you see how crowded it is here? You beggars, you're wasting everyone's time." Even the guard says, "You're just causing trouble for the other guests." So he tells them, "We stopped, I don't have the deposit, but instead of that, I'll leave this as collateral." And he hands in something, and he asks him, "Will this be enough?" And what it is, my dear, is the Tear of the Eternal Fairy Queen, from the language of the first Fairy Queen's Tear, which allows equipment to break its maximum limit, even if the equipment whose limit was unlocked gets destroyed. So the tear itself isn't destroyed, but to use it again, you have to complete the quest to revive the tear. The guy is shocked and says, "Sir, you. And of course, my friend, the treatment changes 180 degrees. He instantly becomes one of the VIPs, my friend. They even start escorting him to the place, walking with them step by step. Isabella says to him, "Wait, what did you leave as collateral?" He replies, "I left the Fairy Queen's Tear. And this spell was one of the rewards I got when I went to the sanctuary. It has to be worth at least 1,000,000 gold coins." She asks him, "Isn't there any problem with handing over something like that?" He tells her, No, there's no problem, because I can easily earn enough for the deposit and get it back later." And actually, my friend, we see that the whole place inside is shining, really sparkling. Honestly, I don't even know how to describe it to you. It's just pure luxury, to put it simply. Anyway, my friend, we have nothing to do with the events that happen in this place. But all we know is that our hero has some special abilities and all that, which will let him win a lot of money. But while they're standing there, some people come over and start giving him a hard time. When our hero starts winning a lot, like one after another, and they tell him, "So please leave from here because you're messing up the system." So Isabella gets ready to block any attack. But our hero says, "Okay, I'll leave, but first I need to talk to the king of this place." So this person tells him, "Even if you cause a scene, nothing will change. Please leave quietly." Our hero tells him, "Don't get the wrong idea. It's not like I'm the one who wants him to speak out of despair. I'm saying that your boss is the one who wants to meet me. So go and tell him right now." And you see, my friend, that there's someone who looks like he's the boss, and the one sitting there is using that tier. And he's activating the skill of an 8th level observer's hand. And he's analyzing the item and discovers that it's real, without a doubt. He's shocked and says, "Who is this person?" The Fairy Queen's tear is something that only the Fairy Queen's Knight can possess. And that's extremely difficult. Finding the Fairy Queen's Knight is hard enough as it is, but killing him requires at least 3 powerful fighters who have reached level 10. This is an item with the highest acquisition difficulty. I searched everywhere and couldn't find any of them in the market. And now it's just coming to me, right to my place. At that moment, someone comes over and says, Mr. Hedson. So he asks him, what is it? What's going on? The man replies, the guy who left the spell as collateral wants to meet you. He says that you're the one who wants to see him. Hedson is completely shocked here. He smiles and says, bring him to me. We have to at least share a cup of tea together. And sure enough, our hero Randolph comes in and sits down in front of Hedson, and Isabella is standing behind our hero, ready for anything. The important thing is, Hedson is a bit puzzled by our hero. He thinks to himself, this guy is the one who left the Fairy Queen's tear? He doesn't really look the part enough. Anyway, they continue, and he says to him, I heard you said you wanted to talk to me and all that. So he told me to ask you, what exactly did you mean by that? He replies, there's nothing deep or anything. I meant exactly what I said, that you would want to meet me. So that's why I told him, go and ask him. You needed the spell I left behind, right? At this point, my friend Hudson is shocked and says, yeah, I heard the rumor that says I collect rare spells. And you're right. I was planning to meet you anyway. So he tells him, if you offer a good price, I might be willing to give it up. He replies, seriously? How about 2 million gold coins? I think that's a very generous price. Even Isabella's shocked here. 2 million gold coins for a single spell? That's pretty legendary. But our hero just stays silent. Then suddenly he says 20 million gold coins. I won't accept anything less. So Hudson says to him, 20 million gold coins? You could buy a luxurious palace in the heart of Arkan for that price. No matter how rare it is, it's only used for refining weapons. Do you really think it's worth all that? He replies, not for me, but for you it's worth it. And I can't pay that amount for something I collect just as a hobby. Randolph says to him, if it really is just a hobby, then maybe the Fairy Queen's tear isn't just a trinket to you. It's something you have to own if you want to join the city council. And here, dear Hudson is completely shocked. How much more does this kid know? And our dear protagonist continues, telling him that the minimum requirement to join the city council is reaching level 10. But level 10 can only be achieved through one's own strength. For someone like you, who's not even a combat type. So it's impossible. That's why you need something that removes the minimum stat requirements on equipment. The Fairy Queen's tear. You need it, and you need a high grade one to make up for your insufficient combat stats. And that's the reason why the merchant is just running a bar like this. And the reason you wanted to join the city council was to gain the approval of your fiancé Serengeti's family. Isn't that right? Hudson is literally shocked. How much do you know, kid? And now, dear, we learn from our hero that Serengeti is the only daughter of the queen and a minister from the kingdom of Balan, known as the Knight of Pure White. She led 500 knights and joined me on the campaign against the demon world. This girl sacrificed both her legs to save me from the demon queen. I used to think Serengeti's actions were just scripted events, because all of this happened when Benjinya was just a game, before I arrived in this world. But after the death of my character Ilhan, and after I came here, after I realized that those I thought were NPCs were actually players, the words that Serengeti said to me came back to mind when she told me if I didn't return from the campaign, please give this to the commander. And what happened at that time, well, it was her necklace. He was surprised by it. He read the information and found out it was Serengeti's necklace. A precious necklace containing a picture of Serengeti and her fiancé Hudson. So of course, our hero, my friend, wants you to see the details. He doesn't miss a single small detail, someone says. Was this part of the settings? In all the character settings I knew about Serengeti, there was never anything about a fiancé. Someone captured the reason why the NPC accepted the setting that suddenly appeared so naturally. Hudson is undoubtedly a player who got immersed in this world just like me. Hudson is shocked. He says, I've never told anyone this before. How do I know this? And our protagonist thinks to himself, Hudson must have entered this world long before I did. I need to gather as much information as possible about the world and its players. The important thing is, our protagonist says, I didn't know, but I heard the star told me. Hudson is shocked and says, what? You're saying you're a saint or something like that? So our protagonist says, I'm not going to force you to believe me, but I can give you what you want. I can help you without taking any money if you agree to a simple condition. Hudson is shocked and asks, the condition? What condition? So he tells him, it's simple. Tell the star the story of your life. And after hearing it, I'll decide whether to help you or not. But everything has to be honest. Because the star loves honest people. So Hudson starts telling him the story of his life. And our protagonist thinks to himself, you must be really confused. A saint with a non-playable character personality, you see them every day. It's a very rare non-playable character to come across, and carelessly revealing your information will make you suspect that I might be an undercover hunter. And as you know, my friend, hunters are non-playable characters specialized in hunting down players. They call the players criminals and execute them as soon as they find them. The number of players they've killed is their methods of approaching and their attempts to extract information never stop. That's why players always need to stay alert, and our protagonist says to himself that revealing her information in Pajigna is almost like dying. That's why most of them hide their identities. And for that reason, it's hard to distinguish the players. And I also have no intention of revealing my identity. But even so, you're certain that he'll catch me on my own turf. That's why I came here. Because Serenity isn't just an NPC to me. She was actually a huge part of my life. And he goes on to say, alright, dear Hitsu, that's enough. I'm gonna show you the story of my life. But to do something like that, I have to start with Serengeti. Most of what I want and strive for is connected to her. Serengeti was a brave knight who joined the Demon World campaign led by the 8 heroes. Our hero is shocked here, my friend, as he hears the story and says, the 8 heroes? What's he talking about? He was supposed to lead and inspire the Demon World campaign. So what does Hitsu say to him? No, Wilhelm is the most famous one. And that's actually true. But the campaign was carried out by the 8 heroes together. It's well known that the campaign failed because of the internal conflict among the 8 heroes. So our hero thinks to himself, internal conflict? What kind of nonsense is he spouting? Then he asks him, do you even know who the 8 heroes are? Hitson replies to him, saying, of course, they're very famous figures. One of them is the strongest right after Wilhelm, and that's Gracia. And of course, if you remember, in the last episode, we found out that Gracia was coming to meet the journalist girl named Kim D. So pay attention. Now the characters are starting to appear to us one by one. And this is Gracia, my friends. And we see that there is already an exclusive report. The man who rides the beast. Who is he? Before this man appeared, we all thought we were dead. And of course, my friend, the one watching this news, is Gracia, and it looks like he's interested in our hero. At that moment, his assistant comes in and says, sir, I was asked to tell you there's a call with the Korean correspondent, Kim Hana. He replies, thank you. She says to him, excuse me, but in times like these, is there a reason for you to travel to Korea personally? She adds, if you wanted, I could have brought that correspondent, Hana, here for you instead of you having to go and all that. She goes on to say, the government wants you to stay in the United States so you can be ready to fend off any potential monster attacks. But he tells her, now, there's something I want to make sure of personally, because I think this man might be the friend I've been looking for. And by that, dear, he means Gandalf. And he thinks that he's Phantom, who is his friend, you know, Wilhelm from his past life. Anyway, my friend, let's get back to our hero, who's completely shocked by everything you just heard. And that's from Heatsing. Now, we return to the real world. Our hero is sitting there, of course, having lunch with the girl named Kim. And she asks him, didn't you like the meat or what? He tells her, no, that's not her. I'm just a bit tired because something happened to me yesterday. And he thinks to himself, I still can't believe he sat there crying and talking all night just because I asked him to share his life story. But after that, thanks to him, I was able to learn a bit about the men known as the 8 heroes. And he thinks to himself, in the end, I couldn't even check out all night yesterday. And because of that, I ended up being 10 minutes late to our meeting today. Then he says to her, but isn't this place expensive, Kim? He continues saying, I don't know if I can accept a meal like this for free without feeling embarrassed. So she says to him, you got rid of that airport situation for me last time, and honestly, that's not even enough. He replies, I was just doing what anyone in my position would do. She tells him, no, that's not true. That's something only a truly brave person could do, and she seems surprised by something. So he says to her, what's going on? What's the matter? And she looks over and says, isn't that girl at the table behind you? Isn't that the one who was with you that day? Why does she keep looking at us like that? So our guy looks over and sure enough, it's that same girl, his ex with some guy. And he's thinking to himself, what are the odds of this coincidence? The guy with her looks just like the one from Sion's photos on social media. Anyway, Kim turns to him and says, if this situation is uncomfortable or anything, we can leave. But our guy stays quiet and tells her, no, there's no need for that. We're not in any kind of relationship here. But at that moment, the guy with the blue hair comes over and says to him, Myung, don't tell me you followed Sion all the way here? And our guy, poor thing, didn't even get to finish his bite. It's like, man, I was just looking for some draw. And it just landed right at my feet. Then he says to him as if it wasn't enough that you kept bothering her after you broke up. Now you're following her too, you shameless jerk. So he says to him, I'm not following her. What are you talking about? He replies, yeah, you are, you jerk. On top of that, I heard you were crying and begging Sion to meet you at a cafe a few days ago. So stop clinging to her, you pathetic loser. Stop saying that to me. And he thinks to himself, now I get it. And he gives her a look. And she smiles. And of course, the sly girl mixed everything up together. Then he says to him, if you get close to Sion again, I'll kill you. Understood, you piece of trash? But then the girl, Kim, stands up and says to him, excuse me, what did you just say? I've been listening to you this whole time. But how can you talk to him in that tone? But what is he saying now? Look at you, bringing a girl with you. Or what, is she some kind of hired girlfriend or what? But our hero here gets angry, and he says to him, what did you just say? Then that guy with the blue hair keeps gone. He says, how much did you pay her? Looking at your size, lady. I'm saying, maybe you took 50 or something. I'll pay you double, so you can learn to mind your own business. But the girl says to him, I'm the one who invited him here to this restaurant, and I invited him because he helped me. But my dear, he grabs a wad of cash and throws it in her face, and he says to her, what do you think? Is 100 not enough? How about 2,000? And he keeps throwing a lot of money in her face. The girl gets really angry. Then he says to her, now would you two filthy people kindly go somewhere else? But the girl slaps him and says, you scoundrel, you lunatic. He says to her, what is this? You hit me? How dare you lay a hand on me? Deal with the consequences. And he tries to hit her right away. He was just about to slap her. But wait, my friend. Our hero gives him a kick and knocks him to the ground. He tells him, that's enough. He says, you think you did something right when you threw the money in her face? He gets really angry and says, you little brat. He gets up to confront him, but he's shocked to find our hero right in his face. And our hero says, I told you to stop. And then he knocks him to the ground, my friend, and he's completely shocked. He says, what the heck? Why is he this strong? Is a human's grip really that powerful? Even that fly girl is shocked too, of course. She says to him, come on, dear, what's happening to you? Why are you hidden like that? Then our hero says, should we take this outside? You're the one who started all this, so let's not make things harder for each other. And he thinks to himself, man, this blue-haired guy. I'm about to get embarrassed by this soup in front of Sion. That's impossible. You're just messing with the wrong person. Then he grabs his golden piece, and he starts summoning its power. My friend, the one who shocks our hero, says, what the heck? Even the whole place lights up. He tells him, that's a dimensional warrior. Suddenly, his power comes rushing to him. He grabs our hero in his hands and lifts him up. Everyone is stunned by the transformation he just went through. And he says to him, come on, say something else, you scoundrel, you lowlife. Then he throws him to the ground, my friend. So Kim runs over to him and says, hey, Yun, are you okay? But our hero thinks to himself, I never thought he was a player. But why don't I feel anything after he threw me? The girl says to him, hang in there, Yum Young, hang in there, Yum Yum. But he's basically on another planet. He says, I definitely saw him transform. Why am I okay? Did he land me gently? By doing that, he shows a hidden trait, the wise sage. He approaches the boy with blue hair, and he says to him, you nobody. I took my eyes off you for a second and you ended up like this. And what we know, my dear, is that his name is Young Jin Woo, level 4. Class, Archer. Our hero thinks to himself, he has a class, but he's only level 4. And he says to himself, the level system in Benjinia for each class has levels from 1 to 10. There's a gap in the experience required to level up. On top of that, extra experience is needed depending on how many talents the player has. So the more talents a person has, the better their character performs. But leveling up becomes slower. And of course, Young Jinwoo has very few talents. But even with that, the reason Young Jinwoo's level is so low is simply because he hasn't killed before. Young Jinwoo, who is a beginner player from the very first day he suddenly synced with Benjenia, up until now hasn't done anything except run away. And after surviving the main quest with a few strokes of luck, he got the Spearman class. And after getting a relatively high-grade class thanks to another lucky break, as soon as he was able to log out as a reward for his ranking, he never went back again. I can pretty much guess the rest now, and he's thinking to himself, why does everyone start with the iron-blooded king's heart just like me? Adapting must not have been easy for them. And that sly girl runs up with a blue face and says to him, dear, that's enough. Let's get out of here. People are watching us. So he tells her, you're right. My mood's been ruined. Let's go. And he stands up and says to him, you, Park Hyun Young, or whatever your name is, you need to know that you're still alive right now thanks to Sion. Don't get involved again. Understood? So our hero says to himself, in addition to announcing to the whole world that he's a player, he's wasting the recklessness that remains from his golden transformation. He won't last long anyway, and he'll be hunted down easily. Anyway, Kim comes over and says to him, "Hey Hun Young, are you okay?" And he replies, yeah, it's not important. And she tells him, "We need to report these people to the police right now." But our hero tells her, "It's not a problem. Just let it go, it's fine. We're the ones who threw the first punch anyway." So he says, "But what if?" But our hero tells her, "It's not a big deal. Let's just finish our meal now." But at that moment, my friend, something happens that shocks them all. And it shocks everyone in the place. A strange feeling. Our hero says, "Don't tell me." And what we notice, my friend, is that the whole place is getting destroyed and monsters are coming out of it. He says, "It started to corrode again." The girl starts screaming and says, "We have to run away." But our hero tells her, "Be quiet, wait a second." And he puts his hand over her mouth. We notice that the people who scream attract more monsters around them. And our hero says to himself, "Should I consider myself lucky because it was just the worms that showed up? They're just trash that feeds on nearby corpses. As long as we don't make any noise first, that thing won't appear." And now, my friend, we look over at the boy with blue hair and the girl who's with him. Both of them are scared, my friend. She says to him, "Do something, please." So he pulls out his spear like an idiot. He was about to strike her with it. But our hero shouts at him, telling him, "You idiot, stop, don't attack." But it was already too late. And sure enough, he attacked that worm. He gets shocked and thinks to himself, "What, just one hit? I finished it off with a single blow. I'm the strongest. I'm way stronger than I thought I was. I'm gonna take all of you down, you fools." And sure enough, he finishes them all off and feels happy, thinking there's no one else like him. He says, "This is easier than I thought." But our hero says to the girl with him, "You think it's easy? Stay as far away from here as you can." She asks, "What?" So he tells her, "Go as far away as you can from the direction where that idiot is right now." And sure enough, we notice a strange fog starting to appear everywhere. He can't see anything at all. He thinks to himself, "What's with this sudden fog? Damn it, my vision's blocked. I can't see anything at all." And at that moment, these hands come out and grab the eyes of the guy with blue hair. He's shocked. It turns out to be a terrifying person. She emerged from the darkness, red eyes in that barren darkness. She tells him, "You killed my children." And she starts to completely suck him into that darkness. And then the system guy appears. The system now says, "The elite monster, the Pride Squad, which is afflicted from level 6, must have 20 people." So basically, my friend, those guys just got steamrolled successfully. And we continue, my friend, when that elite monster comes out and tells him, "You killed my children," and he was just about to finish him off. And now everyone in the room is in shock because there's this guy coughing down there on the ground. And he asks, "What's going on here?" "The fog. I can't see anything." But when he looks up, he finds our friend with the blue hair. He starts attacking him with his spirit, and he's confused. "What's going on?" And he tells him, "Die, die, you cursed monster." And we find out that the effect of the construction worm's blood causes hallucinations, making him see any human in front of him as if they were literally a worm. And he asks him, "Why? Why are you doing this?" He was just about to finish him off. But then, my friend, our hero Gandalf jumps in and attacks him. He dies from that blow, saving the boy. And he cuts off the boy's arm with the blue hair. The boy is shocked and asks him, "What is this?" He screams. But our hero tells him, "I really didn't want to get involved. If it were up to me, I wouldn't have let you cross your limits in the first place." Then he says, "Get out." And of course, these words are directed at the demon. And he asks him, "What?" Then he starts laughing hysterically. He walks out and says, "That's not bad at all. There are humans here. It looks like he's a martyr." And we find out, my friend, that this is the monster of the construction wreck. Anyway, the hero stands in front of him with full confidence. And Kinya is looking for him yet. Of course, this girl is dumb. She reminds me of Sakura. I mean, our hero told her to leave, but like an idiot, she keeps wandering around the place. Or, honestly, maybe more like Hanada than Sakura. Anyway, my friend, she says, "Hey, Hyam-young, where are you?" "Come here, Hyam-young." But then, my friend, she's shocked when she hears the sounds of fighting and blows nearby. She says, "Mr. Hyam-young, are you okay?" And now, my friend, we cut to our hero who's dodging attacks from that monster. The blows are fierce and incredibly fast. Our hero thinks to himself, "I was lucky because the fog from the construction worm messed with its vision. That gave me a chance to transform. But just transforming doesn't mean this fight is going to be easy. If I didn't know the patterns of its attacks, I'd literally be ground meat by now." And he says to him, "This monster is strange. It's obvious your physical condition isn't that strong. Hero, how are you dodging all my attacks? You know my moves even before I make them." And our hero attacks, trying to land a hit, my friend. But in the blink of an eye, he dodges the blow. And he tells him, "What's the point? No matter how much you cut me up, I'll just come back." And our hero thinks to himself, after the worm's dodging pattern, the next move always follows. He looks over, my friend, and we see the blood eagle starting to manipulate the blood. So our hero grabs one of the tables and uses it to block the blood attack. And he says, "If that touches me, I'll end up in an unnatural state." And he actually manages to block it. and he charges straight at him at full speed. The monster tells him, for you to dodge even an attack like that, that's really impressive. Your dodging skills are exceptional. But what's the point if your attacks can't even reach me? So our hero tells him, don't worry, I'll be picking that skull very soon. Then he uses the Fairy Queen's Tear spell. And now the Hermes boots are being equipped. But his stats are actually lower than the requirement. But the Fairy Queen's Tear lowers the requirements. And this is mainly for the Hermes boots. The Makala armor has been fully equipped. The Makala helmet has also been equipped. Now, the Sky Dragon Makala design option is available. The Hermes acceleration boots option is also available now. At this point, our hero is fully ready by all standards. He thinks to himself, it's a good thing I bought this from the secret auction earlier. And I'm sorry about this, Hysen. I really didn't want to use the Fairy Queen's Tear, and I would have avoided it if I had the chance. But right now, the situation doesn't allow me to. And now, dear user of the Hermes Fates, and what we know is that it's a shoe custom made to fit. I mean, Hermes feet and all that. The ruler of wind, which indicates that it came from the Golden Temple. And its wearer can run as fast as the wind. But it's impossible to enter the Temple of Wind while wearing it. The important thing is, it gives you +3 points in agility and lets you accelerate. And our hero says to himself, with this, I'll keep my promise, no matter what it costs. He charges in at full speed using the Fairy Queen's Tear spell. He manages to get close to that monster, but the monster tries to strike him. So our hero dodges it at top speed. And even after dodging, he charges in again at full speed. He circles around behind the monster. He says to it, you damned fiend. And then he strikes at it, my friend. Something's come out of its back, like spikes and stuff, but he blocks them smoothly. And he moves in even closer to it. The monster's left with nothing to do but scream. But then it suddenly lands a totally unexpected blow on him. With the mechanical gear our hero's wearing, he's able to hunt it down, and the Celestial Dragon Ring activates. And thanks to that armor, he's wearing Wingsprout from our hero's back. He taunts the monster, saying, do you still have any more tricks up your sleeve, you cursed fiend? Come on, I'm not letting you get away. And then, my friend, he splashes some of his own blood on it. And our hero thinks to himself, this is the final attack pattern of the construction worm. If I can withstand something like this. But the monster tells him, it's impossible for you to dodge this. You're gonna die now, you damned fool. But our hero activates the effect of the roar between the heavenly dragon seals and acceleration, and he activates the storm technique. And he blows away the monster's poisonous fog, which leaves the monster completely shocked. And we learn that the construction worm has 4 deadly moves. They are evasion, blood vulture, needles, and poisonous fog. Our hero says that after using all its deadly moves, for a very brief moment, the construction worm falls into a state of confusion. And while it's in this confused state, it's unable to move. But as soon as the confusion wears off, the second cycle begins with enhanced deadly skills. That's why this is the only chance to win. He charges forward at full speed, which terrifies the monster, and it says to him, wait. But our hero doesn't give it a chance. He goes and completely pierces its head, finishing it off. And he says to it, I told you before, I choose your skull, you bastard. A notification pops up from the system saying that you've now defeated the monster. Elite construction contribution? 100%, meaning you took it down all by yourself. Absorbing the fragment of the broken golden glands is in progress, and it needs 10 minutes. The remaining time for the broken golden glands fragment is 47 hours, 56 minutes, and 39 seconds. After our hero finished it off, the fog started to dissipate. Everyone started to see him, and we learned that the darkness recedes for a moment to 9.1% until the collapse of Begina, and now he got the luck crit. So everyone is shocked. Even the girl, Kamiya, says to herself, what's this? Is it finally over? What really happened? She looks over and sees someone wearing red armor and stuff, and she's shocked, saying, who is that? But our dear hero puts on his white cloak, the one that makes him invisible. She says, wait, is that the same guy from last time? The guy who saved me and the little girl. She goes up to him and says, wait, you're the one who saved me last time, right? Do you remember me? And our hero thinks to himself, Hana, you're safe. That's really good. And now, my friend, the effect of the invisibility cloak is activated. Our hero disappears from the place in the blink of an eye. She called out to him, saying, please just talk to me, even for a moment. But he was already gone from the place. And from the other side, from behind her, our hero appears and says to her, Hana. And it's Hyan Yan, meaning after he finally took off his disguise, he tells her, I found you. Finally, after I got separated from you and all this chaos. So he asks her, did you get hurt anywhere? She tells him, no, I'm fine. But Hana notices that there's blood on her finger, and our hero says to her, I feel relieved that you're safe. I never expected we'd end up in something like this. I think today just wasn't our day. So he says to him, hey, Himiyan, are you hurt or what? And she points at his finger. So he says to her, what's got? Yeah, I think some monster blood got on me somehow. Don't worry about something like that. He thinks to himself, damn, I didn't even notice the blood on my nails. Then she says to him, well, dear, your clothes are perfectly fine, but it's just your nails that got stained with blood. That's a bit strange, Hyun-young. When the monsters first appeared, you were incredibly calm too. Could it be that you know something about this? Our hero goes silent and thinks, was I really that calm? Everything was so chaotic that I thought I just said whatever came to my mind, nothing more. He says to him, what are you talking about, you liar? You are completely composed. He tells her, no way. I'm actually really scared. And Hana thinks to herself, that just makes him even more suspicious. They're acting like nothing happened. And he appears right after the man who saved them disappears. Could it be him? Anyway, the next day, my friend, we find out that there are only a few days left before the first dimensional war breaks out. And then another dimensional war broke out in the same place. Some members of the Dimensional Warriors warned that these attacks would continue in the future. They expressed the opinion that our ongoing and expanded cooperation with the government will be necessary. And while countless citizens stayed in their homes out of fear and such, the streets became completely empty. In response, some citizens expressed their dissatisfaction, saying that the cooperative government's response, which claimed there wouldn't be another tragedy like the last incident, and the government's artificial downplaying of the extent of the damage may have led to a very large number of annual casualties in the incident. And this was during the Second Dimensional War. Of course, this kind of talk is all over the news and such. And you see a group of people sitting together, and one of them says they were indifferent during the first invasion, and now they're the ones making all this fuss. And another person says, at that time, people who weren't directly affected might not have felt the reality of a situation. But a monster attack is something completely beyond common sense. A woman says, and because it was something that defied all logic, no one knew how to react. That's probably why the government initially tried to maintain a sense of normalcy. But then someone else jumps in and says, but after the incident, everyone must have realized that an invasion could happen again and again. And right now, this is the perfect time to announce the launch of our alliance. And just so you know, my friend, this is the Heroes Players Alliance. The leader of the alliance is Park Tae-yu, and he goes on to say that it's likely other alliances are thinking the same thing. So that's why we need to move quickly to recruit Tala. And then this girl steps in. We're already reviewing the video footage I mentioned earlier. This is a shot from a surveillance camera, so it's not hard for us to see things clearly. But if he really did kill the chain snake by himself, then this guy could be Randolph, the one who took first place in the new main quest. But then someone says, aren't they saying that Randolph just finished the second main quest now? So at most, his level would be 4th or 5th. So how could he possibly craft Hermes' shoes? So it's very likely that he used some kind of spell, regardless of the details. It's certain that he's someone we really need. And after Phantom disappeared, this guy showed up. And we can't really be sure, but it's possible that Randolph is Pham, and we can't trust the other player alliances to recruit him. No matter what happens, we have to bring him here to stop the coming conflict. And now, we're back again, dear, to the other world. And here, dear Henderson is completely shocked. Our hero is sitting in front of him and says, so you mean you used the Fairy Queen's tear? Our hero replies, yes. He asks him, why? Why would you do something like that? Didn't you say you were going to give it to me? He tells him, I said I would help you. I never said I would give you the Fairy Queen's tear. He says, what? Then our hero stands up and shows him, you don't need a spell to achieve your goal. I got rid of it just so you wouldn't cling to a hopeless dream. He thinks to himself, there's no way I can admit I used it because I needed it to defeat the Chide Serpent. So he asks him, do you mean there's another way? So our hero tells him, yes, but it's clear from his face that there's a complete lack of trust. So he says to him, so dear Henderson, how am I supposed to trust you now? Our hero tells him, follow me. I'll give you a reason to trust me. And indeed, my friend, you see him like this, and they head to a strange place, which turns out to be the labyrinthine underbelly of the City of Gold, the sewers to be exact. The place, as you can see, is obviously a sewer. And he says to him, Henderson, is the place you're taking me to really the sewers? Why would we ever come to a place like this? So our hero tells him to wash away your lack of trust. And also because before we go to the place that will grant your wish, I wanted to set up a waypoint in Arkan. He thinks to himself that the teleportation points he got from Dramos are really convenient, but it's annoying that he has to increase his exploration rate every time. And as you know, my friend, the Epic Teleportation book is a magical book that lets you instantly travel to a previously discovered location. As we mentioned before, the casting time is 30 seconds, and you can only use it once a day. The registered waypoint was the Desert Sanctuary. That was the last one. And of course, as you all understand, so now, in order for him to move from one place to another, he has to explore. I mean, if you play Souls games and things like that, you know about the graces. So to be able to get closer to his goal faster and return at any time to the place he was in, or at least the nearest place, he needs to discover a grace that's close to where he's going. I think I tried to explain the topic in a simple way, but I feel like I made it even more complicated. But anyway, that's the whole thing. The important thing is, our hero says, I wanted to explore every corner, but that's impossible with the time we have, so I'll settle for discovering the sewer dungeons, nothing more. Anyway, he says to him here, Henderson, wait, are we really gonna explore the sewer dungeons? Just the three of us? That's really dangerous. The boss monster that lives here is the mutant rat. He's the boss of the dungeon raid, and it takes at least 6 people at level 8 just to try to kill him. So our hero says, I know, and the rat is already right in front of him like this. It's staring at him, and it's getting ready to attack him. A system notification pops up saying that the dungeon raid boss has appeared. The mutant sewer rat, and this rat is absolutely furious, my friend. But if you look at its legs, how are its legs so deformed? I have no idea. Anyway, the important thing is it starts scratching everywhere, and you can tell it's completely out of its mind. Even Henderson here is shocked. He says that the mutant rat is a monster that attacks using its speed as a weapon. Usually the standard way is for 6 people to form a team, surround it, and hunt it down together. But we went in without any preparation at all. He's thinking about why someone would do something so reckless. And then he says, our hero Isabella, let's go. And he tells her, head to 10 o'clock. So Isabella charges forward, and the rat literally sees her coming, but before it can react, she rushes at it and completely finishes it off. And our hero thinks to himself, if you know its pattern, it doesn't matter how fast it is. Of course, that's only possible because Isabella's combat skills have been upgraded to a level that's completely different from ordinary characters. Henderson is shocked, and he tells him, Henderson, I'll keep my promise to you no matter how much crap is involved. That's why I don't want you to ever doubt. And if I tell you it's possible, then it will happen. He's completely stunned by our hero, his confidence, his strength, and even his knowledge of things that no one is supposed to know.